Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Man United agenda. And yes, Rangnick, first press conference, and we will be telling you all and what our thoughts and opinions are on his first press conference. Welcome. Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Man United agenda. And as always, we're joined by OMONDI and Rebel. Hello, good morning, guys. Very early morning for us here. How are we doing? How are we feeling?
It's the morning after quite a dramatic night last night, and I'm just very tired. I am because I was so excited after the win yesterday.
Brilliant. Rebel, how are you feeling? Excited after last night and plus this morning?
Absolutely. Starting with last night, what an amazing victory for the lads. Absolutely delighted with that result. And then ushering in then to a 9 o'clock press conference this morning. And there was a lot to take from it, I feel.
100%. So obviously, Rangnick, first press conference today. How can I put it in words? I feel very confident, but at the same time, it's his first press conference on Man United, and I felt lifted by listening to what he had to say this morning. Let's start off with Monday. Your take on his press conference this morning?
Okay, so I was like one of these reporters, like Clark Kent. Sorry, OS, there's no giant view. I was like Clark Kent this morning, taking notes as fast as I could, shorthand as they do, and I sort of, while I was taking notes, I was listening and taking it all in and watching his expression and looking for any kind of clues. And I'm really happy with the interview. He was asked some not really probing questions, just questions that we expect about what his philosophy is, what he expects, what he saw on the side about Ronaldo, various questions he was asked, and he answered them with poise and a lot of confidence as well. The main thing is about controlling games, I feel, and keeping the ball away from our goalkeeper. It's very simple stuff. It's very simple stuff about his philosophy. It's not, that's what I'm saying, it's not complicated. He makes football very simple, and I think if you're a player and he's instructing you, he will put it in terms to make it very easy. So even a monkey could learn to play in his side, that sort of thing. So I'm really confident. I think he has an air of confidence about him. He's not phased, although initially at first I felt he seemed a little bit nervous, maybe because it's early or whatever. And we all had a late night last night, like us ourselves. So, as the interview went on, the questions just not challenging at all. A bit like what we were joking about yesterday with the work permit board. He had a panel and a work permit. And they asked him the same questions about because they had to test his managerial experience, and clearly there's something he knows about. So being in a hot seat is nothing to him. I'd like to invite him onto the Quizmaster show as well. See how he handles that.
And Rebel?
Absolutely, yeah. What came across with me was there was a level of coolness from the way that he presented himself. He was very assured, very confident, as Monday would said, and any kind of spanners that came across the works, he dealt with them very, very calmly. And we even saw some of that famous German humor at one point when he was looking in his notes for his Harlan clause.
Yes. Absolutely brilliant. It's good thing you picked that one up because I do remember, like you talking about it now, I actually sat down and I went, oh, he's a bit like me where I'm sitting there constantly trying to flick through notes just to remember certain things. But guys, let's kickstart it. He spoke quite about the whole game yesterday, about controlling goal, conceding sort of 2 goals isn't good enough. It's about sort of like trying to manage and maintain game. I know we all got notes, so we just hit the notes, guys, with what we have going forward. On Monday, if you want us to kickstart.
Yeah, okay. So regarding, obviously, he was at the game. If people don't know, he was in the box yesterday. And towards the end of the interview, he was asked, how did you feel? Did you feel a bit frustrated? Did you want to sort of do something about it? No, he's very poor. He said, I understand watching the game, but what he didn't like was the lack of control. He found it was exciting. Like you, Solo, he said about it's a game of two halves. He also mentioned about the fans, influence of the fans. He's really impressed by the fans lifting the team and pushing them on to win. But it seems like he doesn't want to have games, heart attack games like that, where it's all up in the air and lack of control. He wants control of games. That's one thing for sure. And he wants to try and bring balance to this squad. He said, talked really about the talent in the squad and the experience. So there's a balance of talent and experience, but he wants to sort of balance the style of play where we are not winning games like we have. Look at last minute goals we scored this season. He said he's watched the Liverpool game, the City game, all the recent games, Watford game. He's watched all these games, and I think what he's gauged from that is he needs to get some control into the side, get more a consistent play where we're not really sweating or conceding goals as well. He said we had to score 3 because we conceded 2. He said that shouldn't be happening in a way, So it's very direct, very clear about what he's saying, and I think he, as regards to getting that through to the players, he did mention it might take a period of time. So it's just today at 3:00 he will be having a training session, but it's just a meet and greet kind of thing, and it won't be with the players who played last night. Obviously, they need their rest. So he's very clear about what he wants from the side, and keeping it very simple again. It's just about controlling the game and keeping the play away from our goal. So high up the pitch, away. Stop conceding goals.
And it is true, isn't it? I'm going to rebel. It's almost like it is very true what we're saying about the heavy metal high press in football, and that's sort of gathered from his interview. That's the philosophy I think he was going to bring in. So, Rebel?
Absolutely. And I suppose, as you mentioned the press, he did name check a certain Cristiano Ronaldo during that press conference. And he said, at 36, I see this guy and he's so fit. I've never seen a guy this fit at his age. And when he was talking about the press, he had talked about adopting to the squad of players that you have. So obviously he's going to try and impart his style of playing philosophy on the team, but he was not afraid to say, listen, if the team did not have that DNA or the ability in that DNA, he would be adapting to what he's got in front of him. So he was very clear on that point. But in regards to Ronaldo, he obviously feels that there is an amount of pressing available in him. And we saw it last night to an extent. That second half, Ronaldo did do what he needed to do. So in terms of that perspective, I think he's rather confident as well with the squad depth, because he mentioned the squad is not small.
Yes.
And that he has plenty of players to work with. He says Anthony Martial only played a few minutes. When he talked about the forwards, he feels that he has a lot of players available that more than likely we're going to see maybe a bit more rotation. And again, this was something we talked about on the channel previously, was game management and players being overused and burnt out. We saw it with Bruno Fernandes. And I think this guy is going to have players in such a mindset that whether they're on the pitch or off the pitch, the minute they come on, they know what part of the jigsaw that they are.
100%. And I think that's looking at the old regime and things like that. A lot of people didn't know, but with the interview, as I said, I was very confident. He also spoke about his time and how long he's got there, the 6.5 years. There's no other deals set in place at the moment, but if the 6.5 months is worked, he's going to go back to them and speak to them like how we did at Leipzig, where then they kept him on. So Monday again.
I'll just repeat what you just said. I find it's really interesting as well, because when someone's asked a question, if you sort of smile or smirk, like when he was asked about Haaland, he sort of smiled, to say, I know something you don't know. So when he was asked this question they asked him, so basically they said to him, Ralph, Sir Ralph, it will be soon. It's Ralph. What do you, with the deal that you've got, you're going to have 6.5 months as a manager, and then you're going to go on to a consultancy role. He said, can you envision yourself carrying on as a coach or manager? And he said, well, yeah, maybe. He's the one who's probably make the decision, as he did twice, he said, at Red Bull, where he came to the end of his coaching or management role, and he decided that the best option, because he couldn't find the other options, the best option was himself, to continue. you see what I'm saying? So it's like there's no democracy there. He's a dictator. We found out already. You know. No, I love that about him. That he's got complete confidence in himself, and he hasn't got a huge ego because he's saying, "Well, if I can't find someone who's suitable, then I will continue." In so many words, so we could expect. There's still a question mark. We could, if things go well, we could expect him to continue as a manager. We just have to observe and see what happens over the next 6 months. What do you think about that, Rebel? Do you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Obviously, this guy is supremely confident in his ability, and he is looking at this in terms of short, medium, and long term. Like he is, he didn't dismiss the possibility of going to the board, and as you said, it's judging by it, it looks like he's going to have a big say on what happens at the end of the 6.5 months. Maybe he could feel that the squad of players that he has could benefit from another 12 months of him imparting his values on the team. And it also depends, I suppose, on what he sees in terms of who is available, who can be attained. It looks like he's going to be looking at, from the football perspective, what is the best thing possible for the squad and where can I affect the most in terms of what I'm doing. There's a few quotes I picked up actually from his press conference that I might just bring to you. He said, to gain control on games in the future, we have to play proactively and play together with team spirit. Having our unique fans behind us will help us, and yesterday we saw the team gain confidence in the second half. You always have to adapt to the players you have. Seeing Ronaldo at 36, I've never seen anyone as fit at 36. But it's not just about him, it's about developing the whole squad. And then the final one that I'll give you for the moment, and this is another direct quote from Ralph, I am very much looking forward to Sunday. Last night I felt with my current colleagues and I was very happy we got the result we wanted in the end.
Yeah, and some great points there as well. And this is what I think me on a Monday sort of gathered right at the beginning: the confidence, the ooze, the way he answered the questions. It's very confident, and we can only sit here right now and wait for that Crystal Palace game to turn up on Sunday to see what's going to happen. But he did mention he's only got one training session with the players, so he might not be able to get all the information across to them that early. But it will take time to do, which I'm pleased about.
Solo, but the thing is, even though you've got one training session, I think what people have to respect that this guy talks so simple about football. So he did mention that he will be talking to players in a simple way and explaining to them what he wants from them, you know? So even just by saying, so for anyone, just by saying two simple things about controlling the game and keeping the ball far away from the game as possible, you know, so he doesn't, so Fred doesn't run into or something like that. Like to keep the ball far away from them as possible. It's really simple. So, oh yeah, that makes sense, you know. And I think what he will be able to do is go up to players, to look them in the eye, you know, to gain that kind of respect, and say to them, I like what you do, A, B, and C. I want you to, you know, increase that. I don't think he's going to put any negativity on the players as yet. Because when he was asked about transfers, incoming, that kind of thing, he tried to avoid that, which is kind of disrespectful to the players that we have, you know. Give them the confidence to say, right, I like all what I see here, because he said that a few times, the youth, the experience, he likes that there. And so when he approaches the players in training tomorrow, he can say, they won't be thinking, oh God, I've heard you're going to get rid of me with this guy, this Malian centre midfielder or something like that. He said he's going to wait till Christmas, and that's a better time to assess. And that's a really poised answer, because rather than saying, yeah, we'll be getting this guy, that guy in, he's not giving you any indication about that. He's giving guys now an opportunity to show what you've got. And I think that's fair enough.
Yeah, and going on to it as well, he's saying about with the hierarchy, with the Glazers and everyone. He didn't mention the Glazers, but he was talking about the DNA at the club, bringing back the DNA back, and what Manchester United's about. I think we question what the DNA is for Manchester United quite often, and obviously the DNA for Man United is always bringing you through at least one youth player per season. And with that as well, we did on the Monday of the week a couple of weeks ago, where I was trying to explain the reason being what I thought to do with like Mason Greenwood, talking about Van der Beek, Hannibal, talking about these players with him with flourish. And again, if we go to Rebel DNA, bringing the DNA back into the club, that's a good sign for us, really, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. He name-checked Mason Greenwood actually in his conference that he didn't play. And obviously, he said in terms of his forward talent, he name-checked a lot of those Manchester United young players that were brought through, that were developed on-site at Carrington by the youth development structure that we have. So he is very keen to work with what is the squad of talent that he is available to him. And I have no doubt that he would be looking at the next generation, the likes of the Alangas, etc., and wondering if they're ready to slot in to a certain extent in his system this season or maybe early next season. The other interesting thing I want to pick up on Monday on was with regards to the transfers and him not wanting to be engaged and getting into the transfer situation. He says, in my experience, sustainable transfers are not normally achievable in the winter window.
Yes.
That was something that was very much a big keynote point for me, in that the success of the January transfer window players normally is a bit questionable. We saw it with, I think, Patrice and Najama came in January, and it took them the better part of, a year to get settled.
A few garden leaves and stuff like that for them to go on as well.
Yeah, just to jump on that as well, I think he said something really interesting that I felt. He said that when he was at Salzburg, he looked at it, he reviewed the whole squad, and he felt that there was a lot of senior players going there in the last contract, their last contract, the last stage of their career, and maybe that lacked a bit of motivation. So that's something he changed initially. He said he wants players coming in on the first or second contract, which obviously means younger players, because the reason being because he feels that they would have more motivation, and not just that. I think as a coach, you'd work better with younger players. You get the message through. They're more keen to learn. I think that's a really interesting point from what I noticed from the interview. So, not saying he can use that model at Manchester United, but we do have, as Solo was just saying about the younger players, and as Rebel was saying, we do have an abundance of young, talented players who are on their first and second contract and who are desperate to be stars out there. And I think this also fits the bill, because when he was talking about the DNA of Manchester United, he went back. He said the year he was born was the Munich disaster. He talked about George Best. He said he could make maybe 5 or 6 world-class squads out of the players that we've had in the last 50 years, for example. So he obviously knows about the club. He knows about the DNA of the club. And he mentioned about Fergie as well. And he wants to bring some continuity back into the side. And that means keeping in line with the DNA of the club. So that all these things tick the boxes. And I think everyone, all the Man United agenda fans, all the Man United fans should be really excited about this, the presence of this guy around us now.
Absolutely. He also went on. Before I go, actually, guys, if you're watching, please hit that like, share, and subscribe button. We're on the road to 1K subscriber. And we are talking about Rangnick press conference this morning. He went on as well, guys, to say that he's going to be using. Started earlier. He's going to use in the same sort of coaching staff. He might bring 1 or 2 with him, but obviously a lot of them are in contract, and also to do with the Brexit as well, which we will probably find very difficult. But he reckoned he might know more in about a week or 2 time as well. That is sort of good news, because I believe some of the coaching staff he had with him, they're miracle workers on Monday.
Yeah, he did say exactly that. And that he's not lying. I mean, this is a fact. You can't. Some of these guys are tied into big contracts at big clubs, and these are the people he's worked with previously, and like you said, perform miracles with. And that's a great thing. So for him to be assessing now, well, this is the thing. Over the next few days, he needs to assess and talk to players. And just something interesting else he said, he said he spoke to Carrick 2 days ago. And straight away I was thinking, hold on a minute, I thought Carrick said he hasn't spoken to Rangnick or anything else. So this is what I mean about
this. We spoke about this on the we spoke about this. TalkMU,
okay.
You're in trouble.
So when I heard that, I'm thinking, wait a minute, I thought Carrick said he's never spoken to him or thing. But this is what I'm saying, with these press conference thing, you have to sort of scratch the surface. This is why we have shows talking about it straight afterwards, to try and assess what is really being said, because sometimes, but I think with Ralph, what he says is what he says. He's not going to BS or anything else. He's going to give you a proper answer, a straight answer, as straight as possible, But I think we do find in football that people don't, you have to protect your interests, and some things are scripted. And so, like with Carrick, when he was asked a couple of questions, no one knew Carrick was going to leave. He knew that, but we're discovering now he knew that he was going to go. And he's obviously spoken to Ollie as well. He said he spoke to Ollie for 2 hours on the phone, trying to establish. And he said Ollie was very forthcoming with information about the players and the setup at Manchester United and that kind of thing. And he also spoke to John Murtaugh as well. And this is the guy who's probably under pressure now because he might be undermined by someone who bigger character, someone who's achieved more, someone who could take his job and start to run things, you know, and he might start to call him boss, you know, that kind of thing. So, but these conversations need to be had in a situation like this, and I think as long as he comes with the confidence and the air of confidence when he's dealing with everything, I think everything will run smoothly. We can't have anyone in the club. Oh, sorry, he also spoke to the Glazers as well.
Yeah,
how that conversation go? You know, Glazers don't really know much about football. It's like, yes, all right, yeah, that's great, you know, all the kind of thing. But who knows what was said there? Obviously, he's been given the green light to go ahead and do his stuff, and we are really grateful about that. And the more we talk about it here on the show, the more it pops up, the more we sort of try to establish what's really been going on. I'm happy. I've got nothing but good things to say about this guy.
Okay, so we're going to just do a rundown quickly. So I'm just going to go individual now. Let's start with Rebel. Rebel, just give us like the last input you've got. You want to talk about?
Absolutely, yeah. I suppose the final point that really kind of hit home for me was he talked about his preparation in advance of taking the job. He's watched everything in detail, pretty much from our Liverpool match all the way through until the game against Chelsea, and obviously he was present last night in the Arsenal game. And his levels of preparation, he actually even name-checked that he studied in Brighton, I believe, and he used to attend games in London. So he's very much familiar with the football culture here in England, or there in England in my case, because I'm over here in Ireland. But essentially, he's given me a lot of surety that he's going to be calm, cool, collected, and everything that he does is going to be methodical and for a reason. So I feel very positive having listened to him this morning that we're on the right journey, and he's not dismissing any element of his squad from being able to flourish under him. So players that may have felt that they were cast out, were on the way out, may get to come back in through the door and could be very positive for Manchester United.
On Monday?
Yeah, I totally agree with Rebel. I mean, it's really good points he's made there. What I wanted to talk about is he was asked about his style of play, his philosophy, that kind of thing. And everyone's heard about the thing that he said about pregnancy. You can't be half pregnant, meaning you've got to go full press. That's what he's trying to say. And so the question was asked: would that at this stage, with the players that we know about it, and the players aren't fit enough maybe to do this, would that be an issue with injury and that kind of thing? And he said no. As Rebel mentioned earlier, he has to establish what he's got at the moment and get the players, take it game by game. And the main important thing, rather than put the philosophy on the team now, he says he's got to take it game by game, step by step, and slowly introduce this to the players as you go along, you know, and using the Man United ID as well. So when he referred to Pep being a few years at Man City, Klopp being a few years at Liverpool, and if you compare the Klopp side, what he had at Liverpool when he first came to Liverpool, he feels that the Man United side right now is far better than what Liverpool Klopp entered Liverpool. He turned down.
Yeah, it's the same thing for me. It's going to be the whole philosophy with how, again, he spoke about Klopp, he talked about Tuchel as well. Tuchel basically technically had a team already at Chelsea, so it was very simple to sort of get in that team and sort of probably get your ideas across. And he came in January as well. With the whole thing with the philosophy, we talk about like the Ronaldo. I'm confident with the whole situation with Ronaldo because a lot of people say Ronaldo can't press. You can see that last night. He can press. We're talking about the Jesse Lingard castaway. We're talking about Van der Beek, the castaway. This is their perfect opportunity now to cement their place in Manchester United team. And what I think, and I honestly believe as well, if someone makes a mistake, there will be punishment for it. There will be something for it. You're not going to be able to play the next game. You're going to be dropped for it. And right now he comes across very nice. I love his, like I said, I like his aura, the way he comes across. But you know there's something behind what he's doing. So for me, very happy, very pleased. And the interview gave me a lot of inspiration as well. And all it is, bring on Crystal Palace on the weekend.
Yeah, totally agree with you, Sola. I think lastly, to end this, my point anyway, I think that everyone's talking about his style and what he does on the football pitch and his style of management as well. And it's always emphasized by the press, always about the press. Now, we can press the button here to say you like the show. And also, the most important thing that came out today, after meeting him today, well, with the interview, is that his ability to impress. Okay.
Yes.
He impressed me, impressed the journalists, and I think anyone who goes to watch the interview will be impressed as well. So press is everywhere.
Yeah. Guys, from us, that's us on the Mania Agenda. You got myself, Solo, OMONDI, and Rebel. If you're watching the content, please smash a like, share, and subscribe. We are 60 subscribers away from 1K subscriber, and you can then win yourself a signed Bruno Fernandes football shirt. So please hit that like, share, and subscribe button, and we'll see you tonight for our preview show. Have a lovely day, and thank you for watching.